Okay, it's the question is written right here. So, Amy is investing £100 in a bank at the interest rate of 10% for 3 years. So, whenever you're doing a question about interest, they will always give you three things and you will have to work out the fourth one. So, basically, the interest, the questions about interest, they have these four things. The first thing is principal. Principal is the amount that you are investing or borrowing. You can only have interest when you are investing something and you're going to earn some money on it, you're going to earn some interest on it. And when you're borrowing, you'll have to pay some interest on that money, right? So principal is the amount, the actual amount that you are investing or the amount that you're borrowing. And in this question, the principal is 100. Now, the next thing is the rate of interest. What is the interest rate they have given us here? The rate of interest is 10%. And whenever you have got something in percentage and you have to work out a question, you will always have to change it in decimal to work it out. Now, the third thing is for how much is the tenure of the investment or the borrowing? How long are you going to invest that money for? So, the time for the investment is 3 years. These are the three things that are given in the question. And what do we have to work out? We have to work out annual interest and we have to work out the total interest for the whole investment, and we have to work out how much money will she have at the end of her entire investment, like at the end of the year 3. So basically, now you have to think. In this question, they didn't mention which interest we have to use. There are two types of interest: simple interest and compound interest. So I'm going to do the same question with both simple interest and compound interest. So let's start with simple interest. So this is just an example how can you differentiate between both simple interest and compound interest, and what is the extent of question you can get in on these topics. So let's work out part A using the simple interest. So how much annual interest will she earn? So you first have to think, what does annual interest mean? Annual means annual means per year. So basically, in each year, how much interest will she earn? So first I'm going to draw a timeline. Okay. So this is the start of the year 1. I'm just going to call it 1st January year 1. And then I'm going to say here, this is the end of the first year, 31st December 1. This is where the first year is ending. This whole thing is the first year. Now, right when the first year end, right next to it would be the 1st January, right? So there's no need to write the 1st January again. I'm just going to move on to the second year, the end of the second year, which is going to be 31st December 2. And right here, it's going to be 31st December 3. So what do we have? This is the first year, this is the second year, and this is the third year, right? Now, so she is investing the money right at this point. At this point, on the 1st January, she is investing 100 in a bank. And what will happen? The bank will put this money in her account, in some in some investing account, and they will pay her the interest at the end of each year. She is investing for 3 years, so she will get an interest at the end of year 1, at the end of year 2, and at the end of year 3. Now, how much is the rate of interest? The rate of interest is 10%. So the 10%, this rate shows you how much your interest will be. If you want to work out the interest, you will first have to multiply the principal with the rate. The principal is 100 and the rate is 10%. Is that right?
Yeah.
So whenever you have to work out something in percentage, you can just change it into a decimal to make it easier. 10% in decimals is 0.1. So when you multiply them, you're going to get a 10. Is that right? So
Yeah.
basically, she is investing 100. She is giving the bank 100 and they're going to put it in her account. And after the end of each year, at the end of each year, they're going to give her £10 and they're just going to put it in her account at the end of each year, at the end of year 1, year 2, and year 3. Is that right? Now, this is the thing for part A, the answer for part A. How much annual interest is she earning? She is earning an annual interest of £10. Is that right? Annual
Yeah.
means per year. And part B says, how much is her total interest? Total interest means that for the whole investment, how much is the amount of interest will she be getting? She she is getting this interest, and this interest. So there are 3 years. So you just need to multiply it with the number of years she's investing for. So for part B, you can move on to this part. Like, you have already worked out the annual interest, which is 10. You could just do 10 times 3. Or if you're working the question out from the scratch, you could do that the total interest is P, principal, rate, and time. And annual interest is just P times rate. Total interest, whereas, is principal, rate, and time. The principal is 100, the rate is 0.1, which is, the 10%. I've just changed it into a decimal. And then the time, the investment is for 3 years. So, 3. Is that right? And you have already multiplied these two in the first part, which was 10, and 10 times 3 is 30. So basically, the total interest that she will be earning is £30. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So this is how you work out part B. I have explained it in detail. Basically, you just had to do P or T, which is just 100 times 0.1 and times 3, and you just get a 30. Now for part C, what do we have to work out? How much money will she have at the end of her investment? You have to make sure you're reading the question very carefully, because you need to first understand what you have to work out. Are you working out an interest for 1 year only? Are you working out the interest for all of the years? Or are you working out the total money she will have in her bank at the end of the investment? So now we're working out how much money she will have at the end of the investment. So basically, what will happen at the end of the investment when the investment period is over? What will the bank do? They will give you your principal back. And as you know, you already have the interest for each year already in your bank account. So the total basically is this 100, this 10, this 10, and this 10. So to put it in simple words, part C means how much money do we have in our bank account? We call it amount, the total amount. The total amount that you have at the end of investment is your principal and your total interest. So we represent the total interest with letter I only. So the principal, how much was the principal? How much did she invest? She invested 100. She invested 100. And how much total interest she got? We worked it out in part B. She has earned £30, and you can even see that from this timeline. She invested this and she got this in return. So she's getting both the principal back and the interest back. So altogether, she has £130 in total. So when they ask you for annual interest, you're gonna use this, just principal multiply the rate. If they ask you to work out the total interest, which we represent by letter I, it means you need to multiply the principal with the rate and then the time. So basically, the interest for all of the years that you are investing the money for. And amount means the amount that she will get back at the end of the investment. So that is basically the principal and all of the interest for every year. She invested 100 and she got £10 for each year, and she invested for 3 years, so basically 30. And when you add them all together, you're gonna get £130. Is that all clear? So we have just revised simple interest. Now let's see what compound interest is. Okay, as you can see in here in this timeline, all of the years has the same amount of interest. Is that right? But what happens in compound interest? Compound interest means that you're not going to get the same interest each year. Why? Because we are compounding. So you are investing, you're investing 100. The question is basically the same, only the method is a bit different. So you gave the money £100 at the beginning of the first year. Now what happened? The bank is going to give you 10% interest at the end of the first year. So how would they work it out? Annual interest. The annual interest, you have to do principal times rate, which is 100 times 10%, which is 0.1. So this is 10. Is that right?
Yeah.
This is for year 1. You're getting £10 at the end of year 1. Now, we didn't have to work out year 2 or year 3 for simple interest. Why? because in simple interest, you're not compounding it. You just need to work out the interest just once, and the same interest will be paid in the second year and the same interest will be paid in the third year. But here, it's a bit different. So at the end of year 1, you have to compound it. What do they mean by compounding? So at the end of year 1, how much money do you have in your bank now? Basically, your principal was 100, you got 10 more in it. Now you have got 110 in your bank. This is what compounding is. You're collecting it, you're compounding it. So the principal and the interest. So altogether, you have 110 in total. Now, for year 2, you have to work out the interest on this 110. You cannot work out the same interest you had calculated for year 1. So, the annual interest for year 2 is 110. Now you cannot call it principal anymore because 110 is not principal. It's principal as well as the interest of the first year. So this is the compound. 110 times the rate, which is 0.1, and that will give you 11. Now you had 110 at the end of year 1 in your bank and you got 11 pound more. Now how much money do you have altogether? You have 1 pound and 121 pound altogether. Now at the end of the year 2, this is how much money you have. So how will you work out the interest for year 3? You will have to do 121 times 10%, and you change the 10% into decimal, which is 0.1, and when you work it out, you're gonna get 12.1. I'm just rounding it off for now, and when you round it off to a whole number, it's going to be 12. So this is how much interest you will have at the end of year 3. So what was the interest? In year 1, the interest is 10. At the end of the second year, the interest is 11. At the end of year 3, the interest is 12. So each year, you're getting a different interest. Now, at the end of the third year, how much money do you have altogether in your bank? You had 121 at the end of year 2, and you're getting 12 more. So altogether, it makes 133. So basically, this is what your amount is. Now let's look at the parts first. The question said, part A said, how much is the annual interest? How much annual interest will she earn? They didn't say which year we're talking about, so you just work out the annual interest for each year. At the end of year 1, she gets 10 pound. At the end of year 2, she gets 11 pound. At the end of year 3, she gets 12 pound. Now, part B says, how much is her total interest? Total interest means that you need to sum up the interest for year 1, year 2, and year 3. You cannot use the same formula you used for simple interest because the formulas for simple interest are different than the compound ones. So what do we have to do? We have to work out the total interest, and that is interest of the first year, interest of the second year, and interest of the third year. The ones that I have highlighted here, and they make 33 altogether. And now, what does part C say? It says, how much money will she have at the end of her investment? Okay, so I told you the formula for annual interest, you cannot use the same formula here. You cannot use the formula for total interest here, the one that you use in compound interest. Now, the formula for amount. We will be learning the formulas at the end. For now, I'm just going to explain how we work out the amount here. So basically, this amount should be compounded. Why? Because we are learning about the compound interest. She had principal, the first principal here, and then she got the interest for first year, and then she got the interest for second year, and then she got the interest for third year. So that's how she got 133 at the end. This is the amount basically. The amount is principal and the total interest, which is 33. And it makes 133 altogether. So what did we just learn? You can use the formula for amount here as well, but you cannot use the other formulas of simple interest in compound interest. The formula was principal plus interest. You can use this formula here, and it has another formula for amount as well, and that is principal into 1 plus rate whole raised to the power n. So when can we use this? We can use this when you're manually working out everything like this. Like you got the principal, and then you worked out the interest for first year, and then you worked out the interest for second year, and you worked out the interest for third year, and then you added them all up, and then you can get the amount. But this process is going to take too much time. If you have to work out the interest individually, then you can use this method. And if you're going to just work out the amount, if the question says you just need to work out the amount, then you can use this formula. Okay, now let's discuss what things do we have here. This P means principal. This R means the rate. And this N means the time. So if we want to work out how much money she has at the end of the investment, the shortcut for compound interest is this formula. You just need to put the things in here. First, you're going to put the principal. The principal is 100. She invested 100, right? And then, how much was the rate? The rate of interest? The rate of interest is 10%, right here. And the time of investment is 3. So 10% for 3 years. Now let's see. So we just put the principal 100 and then a bracket 1 plus rate. And I told you we must write the rate in form of decimals. It was 10%. You change the percentage into a decimal, which is 0.1. So, and then you close the brackets, and then it has an exponent of n. It has an exponent of time. How much time did she invested it for? She invested it for 3 years. So you're going to put a 3 there. And then you can just use your calculator to work this whole thing out. So let me tell you how we simplify it first. This 100 remains same. You first have to work out the bracket. First, you're going to do 1 plus 0.1, which makes 1.1. And then you have an exponent of 3. Now you're going to first work out the exponent of 3 on your calculator. You're going to do 1.1 raised to the power 3. And the answer you get, you're going to multiply it with 100. And your answer will be 133. You're going to get the same answer as this. So basically, there are 2 formulas that we learned for compound interest. They're right here. And there are 2 formulas that we learned for simple interest. So this formula is the same here and in compound interest. The formula for interest is just different. The formula for amount is same. And there's one extra formula in compound interest right here. So you will have to use this method only when you have to work out the interest. And you have to work out the interest individually in compound interest. Why? Because the interest in compound interest is different for each year, whereas in simple interest you get the same amount of interest every year. Is that all clear?
Yeah.
So if I were to give you a summary for the whole thing, what did we learn? That in simple interest we have same interest every year. And in compound interest, we have different interest every year. Why? Because we are compounding. There are sometimes, this sometimes gives you a question. Uh, what is the difference between the simple interest and compound interest? Or sometimes they give you a question and they ask you to work out the interest using the simple interest formula, and then they ask you to work out interest using the compound interest, and then they ask you to tell tell them the difference between them. So what are you going to tell them? That we get the same interest if you're using the simple interest, and we get a different interest each year if you're using the compound interest. And the reason is because in compound interest we have to compound them. What do they mean by compounding? That you just have to keep on adding the interest for each year. Like you invested 100, so you have to add the interest of first year in it to get the total, and then for second year you are going to work out, you're going to use the rate of interest on this total to find out the interest for second year. Whereas in simple interest there's no need to work out the interest every year, you just need the principal and the rate, and when you just multiply them you're going to get the interest for each year, and that interest will be used for every year. Like for this example, you got 10 for the first year, it means in the second year you're also getting a 10, and in the third year you're also getting a 10. No need to calculate it again and again. Is that all clear? So
Yeah.
this is the main difference in simple interest and compound interest. uh, this is the basics.